Hi, I'm Tamara and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk about the ISFP, which is one of the 16 Myers Briggs personality types. Now, when I think of the ISFP, I think of fun, I think of kind, but do you really know who the ISFP is? Because I think the ISFP can be one of the best at having this alter ego. A great example of that would be Beyoncé. She has Sasha Fierce. That is the person who comes on stage when Beyoncé appears. She sort of taps into this other energy, this other person, this other character. And ISFPs are amazing at doing this because they really have a very strong need for creative expression, probably more than most types. So they usually have a creative outlet. So ISFPs live in a manner in which they have to do things that feel right to them. If it doesn't feel right, then they're really not going to want to do it and they're going to lose interest in doing it. Because they are sensors, they are very much in tune with what they see, they hear, they touch, they taste, and that really adds to that creative outlet. Also, because they're very introverted, it helps them to have the ability to focus and go inward, but they sort of live their life according to their senses. Also, because they are so in tune with what their senses tell them, it helps them to put that into art forms, whether it's playing music or maybe it's even the way that they dress. They're going to put some artistic value into whatever it is that they're doing in life, whether it's they're good with their hands or creating things. They're just very naturally artistic, which who wouldn't want to be artistic? So when you first meet an ISFP, you might notice that they're kind of reserved, they're kind of quiet. It might feel a little bit like it's a little bit difficult to get to know them. They have a sort of quiet intensity to them. Once you get to know them and they open up to you, you find out that they actually have a side of them that's really fun. They like to turn up. They might like to dance. They might like to have parties. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't need that quiet time to rejuvenate, to listen to themselves and what it is that they're hearing, what steps they need to take next in life. An ISFP will have their own way of doing things and they like to be supported in that way. You might look at them as being very easygoing, carefree, but actually, believe it or not, they have a truth. And that truth tells them what it is that they value, what it is that they don't value. So they have certain expectations for their kids that they expect them to meet based on their value system, because they do have very deeply held on to beliefs that they feel very strongly about. And these beliefs may not be necessarily objective, but it comes from that internal place. More than likely, it's probably their introverted feeling, which is very strong and helps them to navigate what their value system is. So ISFPs are part of the SP temperament, right? Which means that they're sensors and they're perceivers. So when I think of SPs, I think of go with the flow. They sort of make things happen, not in the same way as a J, but they like to get in there with the action. And for example, they like to play out their artistic ventures and see them come to life. I think they would have a stronger tendency to feel more bored than maybe some other types because they have that need for self-expression. So it's super important for them to find outlets to make those creative outlets come to true. It really helps them psychologically and really builds them up. ISFP is the most intuitive, non-intuitive type. Actually, they kind of like studying people. So they're pretty good and pretty in tune with people and what their needs are and sensitive to people, which is great if you have a friendship with an ISFP, and they're going to be able to tap into if you're feeling sad, or they're going to kind of know what makes you feel happy. One of the cool things about ISFPs is that they're very spontaneous. They can sort of jump in there. Let's say they're planning a party and they forget something, or something that they tried to set up goes wrong. They can jump in there and figure it out. They can figure out something creative, and it's not going to throw them off like it would some other types. ISFPs might go in and out of talkativeness. There might be some times when they're kind of quiet, and then there's other times when they can really get into a conversation with you. Sometimes they can be really strong listeners and really take in what you're saying. But we know that they're very warm. They get very invested in the people that they love, and that, you know, their loved ones. They will go to bat for those people like probably none other. They may not be so wordy unless they're words of affirmation, but they're gonna show you how they feel because they're gonna be there for you. They can actually, in a very secret place, be kind of hard on themselves, which I think most people would have no clue about. You might think that they're very just carefree, and that there's not that place within them that wants a certain level of, hey, I gotta get this right, or I'm not doing this well enough. They can kind of go into a state of inactivity. When they get into that mode of being too hard on themselves, it's like sort of prohibits them from even trying or pushing forward. Well, ISFPs don't like to necessarily follow what the world says the rules are about how you make things happen, because some of those ways are very tedious. They take a lot of time, they take a lot of energy, to which the ISFP might think that is really a waste of time to spend all that time planning everything out. If you have an idea, a good person to sort of bounce that idea off of might be an ISFP. They're capable of coming up with a business plan, for example, something that they want to start, something that they want to open, and they can lay out that whole plan in about 5 minutes. Yeah, they know how to simplify things and go to a more simple place and make it happen. Now, they may not have a start that's perfectly lined up. They might open their business before it's completely created, or before everything is finished and all the ducks are in the row, but they're not afraid to jump out there, and they're sort of brilliant in that way, actually. What can frustrate them is when there is something that they want to do, there is something that they want to execute, and they don't quite have it yet. And so they get stuck into that J mode. That J mode is irritating. It's like these tangly webs that I'm trying to go through. And when they try to move through in a, step-by-step structured way, sometimes it's just too frustrating to, they don't want to use their energy that way. So they might stop what they're doing, back off, and when the idea is ready, it just, boom, it's there. They sort of learn to trust that process. Now, to some people, that might look very much like, oh, you're procrastinating, you're putting things off, but that's not how their mind works. Certain routine type things might bother them. There might be times when they start things that they don't finish. It just kind of depends on what it is. But when it comes to ideas, they may kind of jump from one idea to the next, to the next, to the next, because that's kind of how their mind likes to work. It's like, what creative expression am I feeling right now? Okay, I played that out, I'm done with it. Let me go on to the next. While they'll see the importance of doing things in an orderly way, depending on what it is, it can become frustrating. They can go through periods in their lives where they can shut down or feel like they need a break. They get into a little bit of a lazy mode, or a lazy spell, or a bored spell. They sort of lose energy. So it might look like lazy or bored, but when it's really just, here's the stimulation here, like, I'm not getting any inspiration here. I've already figured out everything there is to do on this. So So because ISFPs are sensors, they're very good at staying in the present moment. What do I need to do now? They're comfortable taking a back seat. They don't necessarily want to lead unless they have to, or unless it's something that they're interested in, like if they're putting together a dance or something like that. Then they can take the lead. But as far as, hey, I gotta be in charge, that's not important to them. They like to show off from time to time, but that's where that creative expression kind of comes in. They can be pretty hip and pretty with the times, and because they're extroverted sensing, they're great at thinking on their feet, and that also helps them to stay grounded, and also that's why their senses are so strong and what they're picking up and that feedback that they're getting back, but it also helps them to be very quick. So because they're sensors, they like to get information from the real world. They get their belief system from what they see, and they're very linear. They might have some difficulty with organizing, might not necessarily be their strong suit because they, like I said, they like to jump out there and they love creative expression. They really don't understand how you can't be so into self-expression. I think at their worst, they could be very indecisive, and when they get into indecisive mode, then that translates into inaction. But they can be very talented and play around with lots of ideas, almost like they're juggling or something. You might not know exactly what it is that's going on in their minds. They might hesitate before saying anything. They notice a lot. They could probably be great news anchors. They know a lot of facts about a lot of different things. So the cool thing is they're very much in touch with themselves, which is fantastic. But I don't think most people see them as fighters. They see them as go with the flow, let's have fun, let's be happy, let's be harmonious. That's their natural state to be in. So ISFPs are not going to impose on other people. They're not going to intrude. They're very aware of what their boundaries are, or what other people's boundaries are. And so that can stop them or hinder them sometimes. So I would encourage ISFPs to share more of what your thoughts are and what your ideas are, because they can easily fade into the background sometimes. But when they do express their talents, they can really do some outstanding work. So because they're feelers, that adds a warmth to them, but it's not the same type of warmth as an NF would have. It doesn't feel that way. It just, they make you feel like they're there with you. It's that kind of a warmth. Because they're perceivers, they're very open, they're very go with the flow, they're very flexible, they're easygoing. Their introversion helps them to reflect on things. Their sensing ability helps them to be very grounded and very practical. So all of those letters combined work very nicely together to create this person who's not interested in controlling the world, not interested in like intuitively questioning and figuring out and, you know, delving deeper or challenging the world or theorizing. You know, they're not going to be too interested in theorizing things, but they want to experience the world. They want to feel it. They want to take it all in, relish it, enjoy the moment, travel, do things. That's totally them. So their combination of letters really gives them an edge in a lot of different areas in life. When it comes to their job, they have to be enthusiastic about it. They have to see the value in it. They have to see that it's really going somewhere. That really energizes them and gets them going. They are your artists. They are the people that can get on stage and just blast through and just explode with excitement. Yeah, they get energy from making their artistic endeavors or business ventures or whatever it is that they want to explore. They see life as a place to explore all of those different possibilities. You don't feel pressured when you're around them. You feel like you can relax and just have fun and enjoy yourself. So please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching my video. Bye!